episode 162.
Are you ready to take your eBay business to the next level? Then hold on, because Ron and Ali are going to take you into the fast lane with the latest tips and insights from some of the biggest and most successful sellers here on the So You Want to Sell on eBay podcast.
Welcome once again to another episode of So You Want to Sell on eBay. I'm Ron LeBeau.
And I'm Ali Young.
Hey everyone, we have with us today Dominic Carone. Dominic, how are you today?
I'm doing great. How are you?
Doing fantastic here. Ali, you know I have to ask.
You have to, don't you? You didn't ask last show.
What's the weather? I know. What's the weather like in Thailand, Ali?
Hot and always hot. That's where we're at. Great to have you with us today, Dominic.
Oh, thank you. Great to be here.
Dominic began selling on eBay in 2000 to make some extra money in graduate school. He currently runs the Primetime Treasure eBay store, which specializes in the sale of comic books, toys, books, pop culture items, clothes, and all things vintage and collectible. Wow.
Nice.
Very cool.
So what are you? Are you a thrifter, are you?
Actually, no. I actually have a video on my YouTube channel that says why I hate going to thrift stores or something along those lines. Because at least around here in central New York, the thrift stores are absolutely terrible. They're pretty big in terms of just ripping people off in terms of if you're a reseller, you're not going to be able to go in most of these stores. I actually show an example of that, of just how jacked up the prices are. Just for even a simple thing like clothes, in terms of how much they're charging for them compared to how the price you could get for those types of items at garage sales and estate sales and rummage sales. So thrift stores I mostly stay away from unless I'm just feeling the urge to stop by a new one that I never went into before, if it's like the dead of winter and I just want to kill some time.
Gotcha. But hey, we're not going to let you plug your YouTube channel without telling us where we can find it, okay? I mean, that's just not fair.
Absolutely. Yeah, it's called the Primetime Treasure YouTube channel. Pretty simple to find just by typing that in, and it'll bring it right up on YouTube. So we just crossed 1,100 subscribers the other day, so I'm excited about that. Nice. And there's over 225 videos dedicated to helping people growing their reselling business.
So you mentioned that thrifting thing. Do you think that's because they sort of cottoned on that people are coming in there and buying stuff for eBay and they're sort of doing it themselves?
Well, a lot of the thrift stores are on to what the resellers are doing, and so they're jacking the prices up. And it didn't used to be like that, but when people started making flipping videos on YouTube and places like Goodwill and Salvation Army became more aware of what was happening, they just started inflating the prices to levels that are not even close to what the item should even really sell for. A lot of people who are unskilled at pricing the items in these stores. Now, that being said, that's my area. There are people who shop at a thrift store called Savers, and some people swear by that, do very well with it. So I'm only speaking of my region. However, I have heard about this problem in other areas such as Florida and Chicago. It's not just here.
Okay.
Yeah, well, that's a great point, because it may not be everywhere, but that is a great point to bring up, that maybe it's just in your area. Because I'm sitting here wondering, why would the thrift stores care? They're getting rid of the stuff they want to sell anyhow. So, and not everybody that comes in their stores are thrifters like you, but I completely understand where it could be an isolated incident to multiple locations, though.
Right.
So I see your store. You've got some right fun stuff. You got I'm looking at a 1974 Falcon 8-inch action figure. I mean, that thing looks mental.
You better not buy that, Ali.
Yeah.
You better not.
And then you got like a John Paul string talking hand puppet. It's like, I didn't even know they made stuff like this.
Yeah. That was that hand puppet, Dishonest John. That was something I found recently on the estate sale, and that's actually where I do most of my, get most of my finds is at estate sales. I do garage sales as well, but estate sales is where I really do, get a lot of my material.
Yeah, and you know what? That's a great point, because we've recently interviewed several people who have done the estate sale thing as well, and I think it's actually a pretty, in some cases, overlooked option for thrifting, right? I mean, it's amazing to see some of the things that people buy at estate sales for cheap, and then turn around and make a really nice profit on it.
Yeah, if you bring this up to some people will say, well, I've gone to estate sales and the prices are too high. And what I say to that is, you got to know the people in your area. You have to know the cities in your area. Certain cities are much more expensive than others. Certain estate sale dealers are much pricier than others. And some are very reasonable. So you figure that out real fast, and you stick with the ones who, give you a good deal. They're looking to liquidate. They're trying to just get the stuff out, as opposed to people who are trying to flip a $5 home goods item for $50. So, you've got to go to the right places.
Yeah, and the other thing about it, I know firsthand, actually, we had an estate sale from our mom's house when she went into assisted living, and we pretty much told the estate sale company, get rid of the stuff. I mean, I think some of it is that too. Is the homeowner willing to just turn loose of this stuff, or are they looking to make serious profit on some of the things? So we got to know the estate sale company pretty well, and I know that there are some people that just follow them around from one estate sale to the next. I'm guessing that's probably something that you're familiar with as well, right?
Oh yeah, I mean, one of the things that I do is I get on their list. They have like an email list, and they'll let you know. Like, I just got 2 emails today from estate sale dealers that I'm pretty loyal to, and to just tell me, hey, we got an estate sale coming up next week. So I look at it. They usually will send you pictures so you could do a preview of it, and make a decision as to whether or not that's one you wanna go to. You could you do pretty well in terms of figuring out from the pictures and from the descriptions whether and actually the city that it's in, whether or not it's going to be a good one for you.
Yeah, because the thing with you, though, is, I'm looking at your products here. They're all so unique that, I'm sure some of these products you don't find on eBay. How do you work out what to price them at?
Oh my gosh, that was exactly what I was seriously going to ask, because you are so unique. You did, because your products are so unique. But go ahead.
Yeah, well, they are fairly unique, but I generally I still am able to comp them in some way. So I do research on the completed solds, and I see what things did sell for previously within the last 60 days, and then I see what the current competition is, if there is competition for it, and I just price it accordingly. I'm not going to price my item lower than somebody who has the item in worse condition, or I'm not going to also price it lower than another seller who has a worse reputation. I have 100% positive feedback, so if someone has like 95%, I'm not going to price that item lower than that person, because that's going to scare a lot of other potential buyers away. So I price it relative to that, but also have to take into consideration what it's previously sold for in the last 60 days.
Amazing.
Wow.
I mean, seriously, yeah. You've. I mean, how long have you been doing this for?
Well, I started in 2000 to make some extra money for graduate school, and I was going to a place called the Swap Shop, which anyone who lives in South Florida.
Wow.
So the Swap Shop, yeah, it's basically a huge outdoor flea market that's held every weekend, and it's absolutely massive. And me and my wife would just go down the aisles and outside and inside, mostly outside. And, back then there was no eBay app. So, you had to do it based on developing an eye for things. And sometimes we made mistakes, and sometimes we had big scores. And, that's when it all started. I did that for a few years, and then I went to, focus on my career, which is outside of reselling. And then a few years ago, I was selling some things here and there, but a few years ago, I started back up again with the comic books, and then just started getting into, other areas, and watching a lot of other YouTubers, and just started diversifying my content. And, pretty much like it says, my store, I sell pretty much anything vintage and collectible.
Yeah, you definitely do. I mean, I'm looking at your categories here. I'm trying to figure out which one I'm going to look at next. You definitely hit all the categories. It's pretty impressive.
So are you like a one-man show, are you?
Pretty much, although my wife is helping me out more, and she is, definitely, someone who's basically aiding me in certain aspects of the business, again, more so as it continues to grow and develop.
Yeah.
I do have 2 kids who once in a while come with me to the sales, and believe it or not, my daughter, she's only 14, but she's pretty good. She's developed a pretty good eye for things, and will find something, go to another room, bring it back to me, say, hey, Dad, look at this. And sometimes it's a really good item. Like one time she found a kitchen witch, which is just a small little, have you ever seen these before? Like made out of wicker. It's a little witch that people just kind of keep in their kitchen. She found it, had original tag on it. We got it for 50 cents, sold it within 2 days for between $60 and $70.
Did you give her a tip?
Oh my!
I did give her a commission. I did.
Yes. No.
Yeah. That's cool. And one of the things we love promoting here is when we hear people like you that are helping your kids learn how to be entrepreneurs, man, because I know I share this story a lot, but I've lived my life in the corporate world, man. And I tell you what, I've got 3 young kids at home here, and I'm just trying to teach them entrepreneur so that they have options, right? Yeah. And that's really cool to hear you doing something similar there.
Right. Not only that, another lesson I try to teach them is which I've been able to do, and it's funny to see the other day with my son, who's a little bit younger, he's 13, is how to negotiate with people.
Yes.
Because you have to do a lot of that at these sales. And I was real impressed the other day to see my son go up to someone independently and try to negotiate on some action figures. And he actually got him for pretty close to what he wanted. So, it's a good skill to teach the kids to develop.
And they say that the kids are the best salespeople out there, and they really are. They do it to parents all day long,
Yeah, they do. They do. Yeah, absolutely. Right.
That's cool. That's a good talent to have. Hone it in at home and then take it out to the thrift stores or wherever you're going to get your product.
Yeah, they're always negotiating things like video game time and bedtime. So why not teach them how to negotiate money?
Yeah.
Exactly.
That's the one.
Yep, exactly. I'm looking at the secrets of Billy the Kid, and I was wondering if there were secrets of Billy the Kid, but now I know that there might be. So that's pretty interesting. I see you do a lot of best offers and free shipping. How does that work for you? What determines whether you're going to do free shipping and then best offer?
I do free shipping on everything because 1, it helps you with the search rankings. 2, in the Amazon era with Amazon Prime, people have pretty much come to expect that, and I want to maximize the number of potential buyers who are going to see my item, and there are people who will filter it out, items out based on whether or not there's free shipping. I just work this, and everyone knows, by the way, that it's not really free shipping. Even the buyers know that. It's really a psychological thing. They know that the shipping is worked into the cost, but there's actually even been studies that have shown that if you offered something for $13.99 versus, with free shipping versus $10 plus $3.99 shipping, it's the same exact thing.
Yep.
People will be more likely to buy the $13.99 with free shipping because they don't feel like they're paying shipping. So
it's insane, isn't it?
Yeah, it's very interesting phenomenon. But yeah, I do that. I just work it into the price. I pretty much make sure ahead of time that I'm able to source my items low enough and based on my comps research that I could sell it for high enough that no matter what the price is going to come out with in terms of shipping, that I'm going to do okay on it. If I ever feel like an item is going to be one where I'm going to lose money, which I never, ever do, I take it off and I bundle it with another item so that I don't lose money on the item. So that's how I do the free shipping part. With the best offer part, I keep that out there as an option, and I'm less flexible with that in the very beginning, and just kind of more flexible with that as time goes on and the item if the item's not selling. So it just kind of depends where I'm at with the item in terms of it's just like anything else. If you go to a garage sale or an estate sale the first 5 minutes and try to negotiate with the person who's running the sale, they're going to be less likely to give you a deal compared to if it's towards the end. So it's the same kind of philosophy.
I love that stuff. The way they've done research on that and the way that the mind works and how, people want to pay more for something. If they had a choice between less and more, they would actually pay more because they think the value's more. You must have so much fun at your house. So what's your sort of day-to-day sort of business then? You wake up on a Friday, you go out. I mean, what's like a week sort of work for you look like?
Well, that's the thing. I basically have almost 2 full-time jobs. I said earlier I went to graduate school.
Yep.
I actually work full-time as a board-certified neuropsychologist in a hospital.
Oh my God. Couldn't get more different.
That's my regular job. Okay. So around that, I try to work in the reselling business. So I'm up very late at night. I'm working. I get up early on the weekends. I'm just constantly out there hustling on the weekends. Although less so now because it's fall and winter. And so a lot of the aggressive buying that I do over the summer and the springtime, I am really focused more right now, especially in the fourth quarter, on getting a lot more of those items up and listed for people. But so yeah, my week is just crammed busy trying to, fit in regular work, reselling, the YouTube channel, the Facebook group that I run, which we haven't mentioned yet, and then just family time and that other type of stuff. So it's just constant juggling around.
Jeez. And the Facebook, okay, so what is this Facebook group?
It's a Facebook group I put together called the Facebook Reselling Resource Center. And basically what I did is just create a group about 10 months ago that's devoted to helping other resellers succeed by passing on tips and tricks and letting people post links to videos that they feel themselves could be helpful, not limiting people in that way. And also I put up a be on the lookout item of the day. People call it a BOLO, and I provide a lot of detailed pricing information about it so people could learn about items that are out there that they should pick up. And within 10 months, we've grown to over 3,000 people in the group. So it's pretty exciting and just keeps growing. So so that's the group. It's a closed group, but it's free to join. So if anyone's interested, they could just, type in the Facebook Reselling Resource Center at Facebook and find it real quick.
Unbelievable.
Yeah, so I was wondering what you did in your spare time.
Yeah, exactly.
That pretty much sums that up. Yeah, I'm feeling pretty humbled here because I don't know if you got 28 hours in your day, but, it sounds to me like, with that full-time. Now, is your full-time, I'm just curious, because is your full-time job based on, like, appointments? Like, I schedule an appointment with you?
Yeah, absolutely.
Goodness,
so I start my day typically at 8 o'clock in the morning. A patient shows up. I meet them outside my office. They come in, and it's a pretty lengthy evaluation, broken up into one day of interview and another day of what we call testing. We test the patient's brain functioning, and and then there's a lot of what we call medical records review and report writing, which takes a lot of the afternoon time up. And of course, there's things like meetings and stuff and administrative stuff that are sprinkled in throughout the day. The phone call and all the other stuff you have to deal with. But yeah, so it's it's pretty much an 8 to 5 day.
Yeah, 8 to 5. My goodness. Yeah, and then you start your 5:30 to the midnight shift.
Right. Yeah, okay. No, really. I mean, typically, like last night, I went to bed at 3 and I got up at 6:30. I mean, if you want to make it work, if you really want to be, if you want to be successful, you've got to find a way to put the time in. And don't get me wrong, I don't get 3 hours of sleep every night. There's times I need to catch up and get more sleep, and I'm not advocating being unhealthy. But, you do have to kind of sacrifice some of that, something somewhere if you have a full-time job and you want to make it work.
Yeah. No, absolutely. In fact, I'm going to have to get off this podcast now because I think I need some sleep after this. Seriously. And it's just like... Wow, that's impressive, Dominic. I'm serious, man. This is like holy cow, and I'm just sitting there thinking you're doing this because you want to, right? I'm sure you probably don't have to do this, right?
That's true. I don't need to do it technically. I mean, I could live comfortably with my regular full-time job income and stuff like that. Plus, it's not really relevant to this really, but I also run a medical website on the side as well.
Oh, yeah, of course you do. Yeah, did you fly a jet as well, do you?
I was doing the math and I thought, you had an extra 3 hours.
Did I mention I have a book coming out on Amazon on October 22nd?
No, of course you didn't.
Really, I'm not kidding. But so I have other things I could do besides the besides the reselling business. But you're right. It's really a passion for me. I love it. I absolutely love doing it. I have so much fun with it. And that's what just keeps me going with it. I just love it.
Man, no, that's impressive. I mean, your kids have to sit there and go, Dad, how can we compete? I mean, how am I supposed to walk into your shoes, Dad?
Well, I've always modeled for them even before they saw me doing the reselling business is just working hard work. I coached one of their basketball teams last year, and that was our model, which was just hard work. I'm just always trying to, drill that into them, and I'm real proud of them. I mean, they both get great grades in school. My daughter just got National Junior Honor Society, and my son's doing great as well. So I'm glad to see them just, they pick that up. They see that in role models, and it's important to model that for your kids.
Definitely.
Yeah, I don't think if I were you, I don't think I'd need a bed. I think I would just need a recliner, because as soon as I hit that, that's where you'd find me in the morning. That's pretty impressive, man. And seriously, kudos to you, man, for all your efforts. And you are definitely being a really good role model for your children.
Well, thanks, man.
So what about the weirdest thing or that one product that stood out? What's that? Because you're the sort of person that's got weird straight from the bat. So, I mean, is there that one item, that you thought, geez, that's not going to sell? And then it's like, wow.
In terms of weird, not thinking it's going to sell, I'm not sure about weird, but, in terms of I'll tell you about, kind of somewhat, a little bit. I did find an old wrestling sign recently from 1989 where Ric Flair and some other famous wrestlers like Sting and Lex Luger, they had wrestled in the Syracuse area, which is where I'm from, in 1989. So I found this poster that was advertising their show where they were going to wrestle, and it actually was a championship match for Ric Flair, who's one of the most famous wrestlers of all time. So I got this this poster and I put it up on an auction. I don't normally do auction, but for this item I did because it was just such a unique piece, and wound up selling it for almost $400 at the auction. So that was pleasantly surprising. Someone offered me, as soon as I put it up, $100. Another person offered me $250 to take it off the auction and just sell it to them. And I said, no, to me that's a red flag. It's going to sell for higher. And so turns out it did. So.
Jeez, I mean, isn't it fun? Isn't it the job that you do just so much fun? I've always the hustle. We had someone on there a few weeks ago who talked about the hustle. You're going out there, you're buying something for $1, you're getting $40. I mean, it's so addictive.
That's the thing. It's addicting. I mean, it's really like treasure hunting, and I think there's a lot of analogies to that, and a hobby of mine that I'd like to do when I could fit it in, which is metal detecting. Love metal detecting.
Yes, that would be awesome.
Love it.
Yes.
Love it. I love it. And if you think about it, it's very similar. You're going out. You're hunting for something. You're trying to use strategies to detect where something valuable might be.
Yeah.
And sometimes you score big, and sometimes you don't.
Exactly.
Sometimes it's just you think it's good, and it's just a bottle cap. Yeah. But, or a pull tab. But other times it's a silver coin. So. But this is much more lucrative for me than metal detecting in my area.
So before you buy a metal detector, when do you think you'd have time to do that there, Dominic?
No, I have a metal detector. I actually have two metal detectors, and I was doing that much more actively prior to my reselling business. I didn't have time this past year to really fit it in, but I still have them here, and I'm definitely going to go out and do it again. My kids like doing it too, so they take them out and we go do that. It's like land fishing.
Yeah, there you go. I love that. Well said. Land fishing. That's really cool. Absolutely. Throw it out there and see what you catch. No, that's awesome.
Right.
I know a lot of people that do that, have come up with some pretty big wins too,
Oh, yeah. Yeah, absolutely. I mean, there's a lot of people, if you live in an area where you could find Civil War relics, you could really, really make big scores. But, around where I am, of course, it's just, playgrounds and, parks, and there's really not too much of value there. But because you can't just go on someone's private property where something might be valuable. You can be shot. So no thanks. No, that's the thing.
I'm all right.
But the funny thing is, with the estate sales, they're asking me to go on their private property so I could buy all the valuable stuff in their house. So I said, you know what? This is a lot better than the metal detecting.
Absolutely. But I will tell you, if we have you on in 6 months from now and you tell us that your thrifting source is, metal detecting, that will be a first for us. We haven't had anybody say that yet.
You know what? It's funny you mentioned that. I wish I would have thought of it. I would have brought it down here. I actually did find something from metal detecting in a park that I literally could sell on eBay if I wanted to. It was an old... basically, it was a metal it was a gas. It was like something that was a fixture to a ceiling in an old ballroom that fit like a gas lamp. So it had like little sockets in it, and it still had some of the original hand paint on it. It was from the early 1900s because this park used to be a place where people went to vacation. But then once, the automobile became more popular and they developed the roads better, people just started going other places, and this area, this resort by the park, basically just kind of faded off into nowhere and kind of just they tore it down. But that piece was buried under the ground, and I found it, and I had it appraised, and it's worth about $135. So I actually could sell that if I want to. I've been thinking about it.
Is that allowed? Is that how it works in America? So if you actually find something, you own it? Do you?
It depends. Some places will tell you that you would have to split the royalties with them, or it depends. Some places you actually have to sign an agreement before you're allowed to actually go out and do the metal detecting. So it really depends on the place and the site. Right.
I mean, God, that would be so much fun going out there. Where is he? He's out in the bushes finding his gold.
Right. Yeah. Absolutely. Yeah.
So again, yeah. God, he's never with the family. He's lost his eBay business because he's obsessed with this metal detector. Okay, last question because we're running out of time here. So, where are you seeing yourself in the future? Obviously, the metal detecting stuff. Are you going to build this? Get warehouses? Get the kids working?
Great question, because really my goal at the beginning of last year was to develop the Facebook group and to develop the YouTube channel, and I've done that successfully. Continue to develop and expand the the materials that I'm selling through my store and just keep growing, and I've done that. So I am starting to think about, okay, what's the next step? Where is it going to go from here? Right now, what I'm really focusing on is developing a more efficient system for storage in my house, because I run the business out of my house. I don't have a warehouse. I don't think I'm going to be able to do that because of my other full-time job, which I cannot quit that and give that up. So I've got to find a way to kind of, work this more efficiently in the house. And, perhaps I think if things are going to go farther, my wife's going to take a more active role in the business.
Oh, awesome. Yeah, that is really awesome, man. This is a great story here, Dominic.
Yeah, seriously. Okay. I mean, and just because you brought up another question, so this is the last question. So how do you manage that stock then? I mean, how do you know where everything is?
That's a good question.
Thank you.
Right now, I actually do have
Finally
got a good question in. Gee.
I do have an informal system kind of set up where I have certain storage shelves where that's where I put the stuff that has already been listed, and the stuff that's not listed, I keep it in just a separate area. So I know where I generally keep that stuff, and it's very, very rare for me to misplace an item. It's happened, but it fortunately I've never actually not been able to find one. It's come close one or two times, but never actually really happened.
Yeah. You sound proud of that as well. Yes. And
I am.
Next week you're going to lose something. You know that.
There was one time it took over an hour to find it. I said, I got to prevent this from happening. I was like sweating.
So, you did not have to tell on yourself. I mean, you just
did it. So awesome. No, seriously, thanks for joining us, Dominic. I love it. You brought your family into it. You're having fun doing it. You seem to have more hours in the day, like Ron said, than we do, but that's okay. And it's just you're enjoying it and making that extra money and teaching your kids new things. So thanks for joining us. It was actually amazing.
Hey, thanks a lot, guys. I had a lot of fun.
We'll post all the notes from today's interview on our show notes page, which can be found at www.soyouwantasellonebay.com/show notes. Before you go here, Dominic, what's the best way? You've mentioned your Facebook, but what's the best way people can get in contact with you?
I would say join my Facebook group, the Facebook Reselling Resource Center, because once you're in there, we become, we could just send each other messages on Messenger, or people could contact me at the YouTube channel.
Cool. All right, brilliant. Well, that's all good stuff. We'll put all of that in the show notes page, so make sure you check that out. From everyone here at So You Want to Sell on eBay, I'm Ali Young.
And I'm Ron LeBeau.
That's all for this episode of So You Want to Sell on eBay. Be sure to check out our next episode or any past episodes by going online to soyouwantasellonebay.com. Also, be sure to follow us on your favorite social media sites, facebook.com/So You Want to Sell on eBay, and Twitter @Your eBay Podcast. Thanks for listening. And until next time, happy selling.
Have an idea for a topic or know someone who would like to be on the show? Let us know. Just go to www.soyouwantasellonebay.com/interview. We look forward to hearing from you. This podcast was produced in part by Pro VoiceWorks.